It's the morning after, the night before. As always, we're back with the player ratings. Chelsea won, Nottingham Forest won, and it was a very, very frustrating game, to say the least. I compared it more to that of at the beginning of the watch-along for the Brighton game. I said, because it's a 3 p.m. kickoff, you know, this, that, and everything else is going to happen. It wasn't to be, but in this game more so, it was to be. It was all the things I said the Brighton game would be and more. Red card, but nothing really in terms of capitalisation. And just chance after chance after chance squandered. Silly yellow cards around the whole game and suspensions to match. It really was frustrating. Before we begin, please do like the video, subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified of any future content on the channel. And with that said, shall we get into things? It is the international break, and you know, has that come at a bit of a detrimental time, or is it a good time for this to come about, in the sense that, you know, we've slipped up. We've slipped up. We've made a bit of a mistake in not capitalizing on that. I'm looking at the table now, and at the end of it, all things said and done, we are still in 4th place, but we could have been a point behind 2nd and 3rd, and 2 points behind 1st. And let's be clear here, we're now 4 points behind Liverpool. If we had won against Liverpool, we would have been joint on points. No, in fact, we wouldn't have been. What would we have been on? We would have been on 16 points had we won. So we would have, if we beat Liverpool next time we are back in action in the Premier League, we would have gone above them by a point. That's how important games like this are. That's how important games against your Nottingham Forests and so on are. You need to get the points. You can't be settling for a draw. You can't be thinking, well, you know, we've not been playing our best. You know, we'll have to settle. Settling for that is purely settling for disaster, really, and progression into whatever that be that you class as a success. If that's, you know, fighting for top 6, top 4, or even top 2, maybe even challenging for the title, which at the moment, coming into that international break, we could well and truly have been. We are playing 2 out of the 3 teams above us after this international break. So a win against Nottingham Forest was realistically all that we needed to do to ensure that we had a much better run of games. Now we have to really gauge more points. We have to really gain as many points as possible in that run, whereas a loss against Liverpool or a loss against Arsenal would have been not acceptable, but like less damning. But then you draw to Nottingham Forest, a 10-man Nottingham Forest, and it really does leave a sour taste in the mouth because of how much better off we could have been. We're going to start the player ratings back to front today. And we're going to start with this end of the pitch and then work towards the goalkeeper. Make of that what you will. I'm going to go with... Jackson nearly went overboard to an extent where I think he was risking getting sent off because of how much dissent that he was showcasing, getting way too angry and too animated in that Ward-Prowse free kick situation for whatever reason. I still don't know, but he somehow managed to get away without a booking, according to what I'm looking at. I could have sworn he got a booking. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bookings in this game. Again, showcasing that when we do lose our minds a little bit, when we do lose our heads somewhat, yellow cards just keep coming. They really do. And for that, we've got no Fofana and we've got no Cucurella in the next game against Liverpool. So it's not great. I'm going to go with a 6 for Jackson purely because of that, and also because... And not really that it's his fault, but because he didn't need to be on the pitch for the majority of that second half. And then you bring him on with 9 minutes to go, albeit we had 13 minutes of additional time. But it was just so unnecessary to have him on when it was so much more an Nkunku style game. And people will argue, well, you know, Nkunku didn't do anything this time around. Well, yeah, he didn't really have much time. He could have won it. He could have won it from that Mikhail Mudryk cross. Would Jackson have been better suited for that situation? It remains to be seen. But for me, not an average performance, but not a great performance to say the least. And I'm going to go with a 6 for Nicholas Jackson in today's game, or yesterday's game, whenever you're watching the game against Nottingham Forest. Jadon Sancho, for me, it was perhaps his least impressive performance, and even then it was still pretty good. I'm going to go with a 7. I think we can expect more of him in certain circumstances like this, like in a game like this where we've done it. We've showcased against your Brighton now this season. You know, and they're decent, but we showcased in other games as well that we can absolutely batter you in those games where it's not against the top 6, the traditional top 6 or top 5, not including us. And get the result. Whereas in previous years, it's much like what we had against Nottingham Forest in this game. Is just like we just can't get past that low block, and we're made to pay for it. Jadon Sancho did pretty much everything he could, other than shoot, which was one of my only criticisms of him in this game, is that just shoot. Just shoot. I'm begging you to just shoot. Because in a world where Madueke is as selfish as people like to say, but as selfish as he is, where he decides to shoot, maybe 1 or 2 of the shots that Madueke got off, Sancho could have done with instead, because I think Sancho was making up for the passing for the 2 of them in this game. And that's not to discredit Madueke's performance at all. I thought he was easily one of the best players on our pitch. In hindsight, I know in the moment it was really starting to jar people's heads a little bit that he wasn't passing and he was just going for glory, so to speak, and get that goal, which he did. And we'll get to that next. But a 7 for Sancho, and likewise for Madueke. It's not likewise. It's going to be a 7.5. I don't think it's quite an 8. But a 7.5. All the ratings are going to be fairly low today because it was a fairly bad game, all things considered. 7.5 for Madueke. It was, in the moment, people were really, really frustrated. I was frustrated. I thought the first shot he took off, it was warranted. The second shot he took off, absolutely outrageous. He could have crossed it and we could very much have got the goal in that situation. I just think Madueke needs to learn that there's a time and a place to shoot, and it's not always when you want to shoot. It is sometimes when it's the right time to shoot. And I know that sounds easy, but he needs to work out the difference between now I'm going to pass, now I'm going to shoot. And I feel like he's yet to really grasp that to a full degree where he's like, okay, I probably shouldn't shoot here. But then that might be what it is. He might be trying to catch everyone off guard because it looks like he should pass and he goes for the snapshot instead. I think in that regard, it's quite frustrating for people, but, you know, he's just trying to make things work, you know. So I guess a 7.5 for him. That might be quite annoying for some people to watch. Me give him a 7.5, but I just thought he wasn't anywhere near as bad as people make out that he is. And you know, I'll bring Neto on, and then just not much else happens. It's got to be said. For Cole Palmer, a booking today and an otherwise fairly underwhelming performance, even though he did get an assist and 6 shots off. I don't think it was as bad as people were making out. I was quite worried at half time that he was underperforming, and then the rest of the team would somewhat suffer. But it wasn't to be, really, because second half, I even said at half time, I think second half he's going to come out much better, and I thought he did. We got the, he got the assist. We were back in the game, and it was still not the performance you would expect necessarily, but it was. I'm still thinking it's a very good performance from Palmer. I'm going to give him an 8, and for that, it's pretty much downhill after this because we've got Caicedo, we've got Enzo, and I'm just so unimpressed with Enzo Fernandez still. I don't know if it's me. Have I got an agenda that I don't know I do? Am I just completely an agenda against Enzo, and I'm not aware that I have an agenda against Enzo? I'm going to go with a 6.5 for him. Maybe that's harsh, maybe it's not, but he just doesn't tickle my pickle. He doesn't wet my whistle. He just doesn't do it for me, and I don't think he does it for the team enough either. And I would argue, I'm going to put them the same, not 86.5. I'm going to go 6.5 each. I think many people might argue that he had, I don't know, because Caicedo got booked. And it was just so unnecessary to get booked as well. It was a really bad tackle, if anything. I'm going to give him a 6. I just expect better of Caicedo than Enzo these days. And for the fact that he had arguably a wouldn't say a worse performance in any stretch of the imagination, but just Enzo is such a frustrating guy to watch. Like, some of the passes he does are so good, and then some of the passes he does are just so subpar. It's outrageous. Caicedo just needs to get a grip when it comes to getting sent off or not sent off, but getting booked all the time. And just not lashing out the way he does. And I don't even know if it's lashing out. It's not like a temperamental thing. I just think he needs to learn to keep his cool and not lunge in the way that he does. I think it is just a bit. It is so unnecessary, is what I shall say. Moving into the final 5, and I think it goes without saying that Marc Cucurella had as well a fairly diabolical game. I'm going to give him a 6. And it's as low as it is as well, mainly down to the fact that he's a fucking idiot and got himself suspended for the game against Liverpool. We have got Renato Vega to fill in that gap, so I'm not all that upset, but, it's still, again, totally unnecessary, and it is stuff like this, for all the reasons I gave for Caicedo and for Caicedo's unnecessary bookings, for Madueke's unnecessary shots, and so on, I think is the difference between us challenging for the title in a couple of years and not. I think these irregularities and these lapses in judgment really are what's going to cause us to slip up this season and maybe finish in your 3rd, 4th, or even 5th this season, rather than 2nd. Or, let's be honest, we're not going to finish 1st. But, one day it could be on the cards with a team like we've got. Everything seems to be showing the signs that it could come together, but again, these irregularities, these lapses in judgment are what's going to cause us. It really is. Levi Colwill, I think, got substituted in the end because of an injury. I know I kept saying that he was subbed because of maybe, he'd already been booked. We don't want to risk him getting sent off and missing out on the Liverpool game. But apparently it was because of an injury. I still think that it was a precaution. I was just getting a little bit too lippy. Do you know what I mean? So I still think it was. I'm trying to remember the goal. Yeah. I don't think it was necessarily down to him, was it? Or unless it was. What am I trying? I'm trying to think of the goal. It's escaped me right now. But a 7 for Levi Colwill. I remember Madueke so well. And for some reason, their goal just isn't. It's not popping up in my head. But anyway, I digress. A 7 for Colwill. I think I'm gonna go with. Honestly, I could give Fofana a 6 purely because of how stupid he was. But I'm going to give him a 6.5. Again, just so unnecessary getting booked in a game like this when you have the games that we have coming up. And not last but not least, but last but not least, in the outfield players, my man, Malo Gusto. What a performance, eh? What a game. I'm only joking. I know a lot of you are like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about, Harry? For God's sake. The man stank the gaff up, and he really does deserve the red right now. That was some performance he put in all the worst ways you can imagine. Just everything he touched turned to poo. It was so poor. And believe me, I love myself some Malo Gusto, but Jesus Christ, he's put in more than one stinker in this season, and I think that the argument now for when James is eventually fit is becoming clearer that he does now maybe just steal that spot from Gusto straight away. And many would argue that he would do that regardless of how good Gusto's been. But he's just making it a bit easy this day, at this point to just be like, right, Gusto, out you come, son. And James comes back in. But yeah, one of the worst Gusto performances we've seen. It's got to be said. And last but not least, I hate to do it. I really do hate to do it. It really pains me to do it based on what we've seen from him this season. But he's man of the match. He's man of the match. He is man of the match. I might not put 8.5. I might put 8, but just make him like the 8 that's man of the match out of him and Palmer. Robert Sanchez is the reason we didn't lose. Straight up, like that is the fact of the matter. He is the sole reason that Chelsea Football Club did not lose to a 10-man Nottingham Forest side. It's as simple as that. Those last 2 saves in stoppage time, or just beforehand, they definitely did one within the 90th to the 103rd, but he kept us in this game, and it was when it was in the last couple of minutes for sure. I think it was like 100 minutes played. Robert Sanchez actually was man of the match. I don't care what any of you say if you do disagree. He was the reason we were in this game still. So I can't say much else. There were definitely a couple of dodgy passes out the back from him, but that's just natural for Robert Sanchez. I just think that no better than Madueke or Palmer, although Madueke got a 7.5. I don't think he was warranting the 8 purely because of the decision-making. But for me, Sanchez, purely for the saves that he made, were absolutely out of this world, and you've just got to give him his flowers when it's time. And in a team full of absolute fuck-ups in a game like this, it wasn't hard for him to be man of the match as long as he did save those saves, and he did. They were absolutely incredible. And so for that, man of the match, Robert Sanchez. So 8 for Sanchez, 5 for Gusto, 6.5 for Fofana, Colwill 7, Cucurella 6, a 6, 8, and a 6.5 for Caicedo, Palmer, and Enzo. Madueke close to getting man of the match with a 7.5. Even if he did score the goal, it wasn't enough for me. Sancho with a 7 and Jackson with a 6 to cap things off. We did see Christopher Nkunku. We did see Joao Felix, who, again, both of them came really close at times. Mudryk, I've got to say, hats off to him, Mudryk. You came on, you made a serious impact, and you were very unfortunate not to get the assist for the winning goal. Pedro Neto came on, he got booked, and it was an absolute a stinker, really. I would say. And I got into not an argument by any means, but a debate after the game saying how if you think Neto came on and was a good impact, you're a fraud because it wasn't a good performance whatsoever. And then Tosin as well, I think held up the fort. Not great, to be honest with you, because they were just through on goal multiple times. But, did what he had to do at times. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are ever closer to 10,000 subscribers. So please do like the video, subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified of any future content on the channel. It is now the, again, international break for 2 more weeks. I'll be posting videos regularly on this channel as well as doing FIFA career mode for Chelsea in the first season on a somewhat daily basis. I don't know if I'll be doing it tonight on this Monday, 7th of October 2024, but certainly moving forward as it is the international break. I've got to keep myself doing something. So please do subscribe and have a wonderful 2-week break from Chelsea Football Club. I'll try and keep you updated with all the news and all that sort of stuff. But other than that, my name is Harry. Up Chelsea and peace.